Hey guys, Natasha Tessier here. I am the owner of Dwell Realty and Design here in the great city of Houston, Texas. I was born and raised here. Unlike so many YouTubers out there, I was actually just watching a video of one of our great YouTubers who has amazing footage, but he was teaching other agents on YouTube and how he was so proud that he had 22 YouTube channels and he's never lived in the cities where he has these channels, or he's lived there for a short time, or he just moved there. So think about that. Like, are you who you're wanting to go to? A little bit more about me. Born and raised here, lived in Texas pretty much my whole life except for college, and born in the city, have lived in Tomball. Now I live in Montgomery, Texas. I'm also a believer, so I think most of you can tell that from my channel, but love Jesus and I'm proud to say that. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about the things that you need to know before moving to Houston. Today I wanted to talk about why would you move here, and actually some of the things that you might not like here and things to really think about before making that move. So I've helped people every single day. This is all I do, is help people relocate here. But there are some things that surprise people and I want you to be aware of them. So the first thing I want to go over today is the heat. Okay. So I am in a jacket because it was probably like 50 when I woke up today. This is end of December. So this is really unseasonably hot for us because we've been in the 70s. Normally December can be like 40s and 60s, maybe occasional 30s and 50s. But right now it's like 40 to 50 at night and then 75 during the day. It's beautiful. It's sunny out. It's gorgeous, but it's hot. And so we usually, for me, what usually happens is like mid-September, it starts to break the heat. By the end of September, it's nice. And it's nice from like October through the end of May, sometimes even into June. But July and August, it doesn't matter where you live in the state. Yes, Houston is more humid, but we get rain, so our temperatures are a little bit cooler. I lived in San Antonio. That's a very dry heat. We had 90 days over 100. Dallas can be very hot. All of them are hot. So if you don't like the heat and you don't like the hot weather, it may not be the place for you. I will say that you can be outside every single day. So very rarely can I not go for a walk or not be outside in some way. And then in the summers, we have a boat membership on Lake Conroe, or people will be at the neighborhood pool or at your own pool, or, at the splash park or whatever. So there are ways to be outside in the heat, but you're not in the summers going to want to take a walk when it's, 98 degrees out at 2:00 in the afternoon. It's hot. So a lot of my families are surprised. On the flip side of that, I have people that have moved here from places like Fresno, California, where it's really hot as well, and they don't think the heat is as bad here. So sometimes I think we get a bad rap, but I don't want to lie to you, it's hot. So if the heat bothers you, I've had people just say that they can't do it and they don't want to be here. And so if that bothers you, a lot of my clients are escaping from the cold and they don't want to deal with the snow anymore and being inside all the time. So if that's the case, you will love it, especially from October to May, but the summers are really hot and humid. So we are definitely more humid in Houston because we get the rain. So it's a lot greener, more lush, trees are beautiful, but it's definitely more humid because of the rain. So that's something to think about. My kids didn't like San Antonio. It was a drier heat. It was cooler at night, but it was like that dusty kind of desert heat. So it just kind of depends on your personal preference. Okay, so coming in at number 2 are going to be our property taxes. Okay, I've done a property tax video here. Go check it out. It's very, very thorough. But we do not have a state income tax. There's a few states across the nation, no state income tax. So if you look at your income tax return, you might be in the 30%, the 40%, the whatever bracket it is, okay? But you also have an additional state income tax. So states like Alabama have 5%. California, I think the higher end clients are paying 12%. We don't have any of that. So a lot of that's gonna depend on sorry, my puppy's saying hi. Say hi. Okay, puppy. Okay. Anyway, a lot of that's going to depend on your state. So people sometimes don't even realize that they're paying state income tax, which is crazy to me. But it's either going to be 5%, 7%, 12% if you're a high income earner in the state of California. We don't have that, but we have a property tax, and that can be as low as 1.2 or 1.4% of your appraised value. Or it can be over 3% for some of our new communities. Now, the reason the new communities are more is because they have what they call a MUD, okay? So that's a municipal utility district. So what happens is the builder comes in, the developer, they put all the infrastructure in, they put in the plumbing and the electrical and all that stuff. And then the neighborhood pays that MUD off over time. So I've lived in a neighborhood where it was 3.5 and 2 years later, it was 3.0. It will go down over time. That's why your older neighborhoods, like the one I'm in, is at 1.5. We don't have a MUD. Everything is paid off here. So we just have our taxes. In addition, last year, the state of Texas helped us all out for our homestead and gave us each $100,000 off if it's your homestead, meaning you live in that house. And when we close, I will go through how to make sure you get your homestead exemption. It's definitely something you want to do. If you're over 65, that went to $110,000. So instead of paying on $500,000, you're going to pay on $400 or $390 if you're over 65. So that's really, really good savings. And then also, if you're fully disabled, you will not pay any property tax. So a lot of my veterans love the state of Texas. I actually have 3 pending right now because they will not pay any property tax if you're fully disabled. Okay, the next thing is going to be flooding and power outages. So every once in a while, okay, we always have flooding, but we get a bad rap for that because the same areas flood over and over. So I know a neighborhood right here on 45, beautiful neighborhood, really unique houses. People love them. They're really, really affordable. Well, that's because it's in a flood zone, and every time it rains, the neighborhood floods. So the new construction is going to be very hard pressed to flood because these developers have gone in, created their own drainage, put the houses above the street, so the streets become your drainage, and it's very hard pressed to flood. Also, if the house existed in 2017 when Harvey came and it didn't flood, I don't want to say never, but that was the most rain. That was like the 500,000 year flood. So if it didn't flood during Harvey, you're probably pretty good. But you do want to look at, and those are things that we can look at for you. So a lot of people are on searches right now and they say, oh, Natasha, we love this house. Okay, well, let me pull the disclosures and the flood and see, just to make sure you don't want to buy in a 100-year flood. You don't have to. There's no reason to. Or even the 500. The 100-year is going to require flood insurance, which has gotten really expensive. The 500 does not, but still saying that your house is lower lying. So something else to be aware of is the flood. And then, of course, power outages. So this past year we had, this huge power outage and people lost power. One thing is to think about. So out here in Montgomery, we are on Mid-South. That is our energy provider. It is a smaller energy provider. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say there's like 30,000 of us on there. Whereas the city of Houston is all on one huge power grid. You have choice as to who is going to give you that service, but it's one huge power grid, and that took several weeks to come back. So think about that when you're buying. Also, a generator. So many of my clients love to have a generator, then you don't have to worry about it at all. The second the power goes out, your generator pops on, your fridge, your AC, whatever it is totally fine. I don't have one. I've never had one, but we only lost power out here for 24 hours in the last, I think it was Hurricane Beryl. So there are ways to work around it with a generator or, just being in an area where the grid is not so big. A lot of people like to buy near the hospitals because those grids always stay on. So that's definitely something to think about when you're looking is what energy provider did that neighborhood lose power? How long did they lose power? All that good stuff. So I think what happened in Houston is there's so many on the same power grid that it took forever to get everybody back on and it wasn't efficient. Where out here in Mid-South, the day the storm hit, that afternoon, there were trucks already going. And within 24 hours, I think they said like 92% of us already had power back. Let's talk about the mosquitoes and the bugs. Now, I think some people are mosquito prone. I don't know if it's your blood type or whatever. My husband gets bit all the time. I don't really get bit, so I don't really notice the mosquitoes that much, but I know they're out there. So when we go up to Montana for the summers, the mosquitoes can be really bad up there too. So yes, we have mosquitoes. I don't know if we have any more bugs than anybody else. I just do a quarterly treatment on the outside of my house. I don't really like it on the inside, but we do have bugs, spiders, roaches, those kind of things. I've never seen well, that's not true. I've seen maybe one or two snakes my whole time of living here. Never been bit by one or anything like that, but there are snakes around. So if those things bother you, then, Houston or Texas may not be the place for you. Okay, so the last thing is the aesthetic concerns. So parts of Houston are not pretty. Downtown Houston is just literally a bunch of freeways. It's the 4th largest city in the nation, soon to be 3rd. I think it might pass Chicago. So it's literally a bunch of freeways. It's concrete. There's nothing pretty about it. However, when you go out, especially in Northwest Houston, which is where I live, we're up against that Sam Houston National Forest. So starting at about Tomball, Magnolia, Montgomery, Conroe, obviously the Woodlands, all heavily treed, very, very pretty. You actually have some hills and terrain, no mountains or anything like that, but it's hilly. It's not just a flat concrete jungle. That is one complaint that some of my clients have from Dallas, is that there's just not the same trees. It's just, kind of smaller. It's not as lush. And same with San Antonio. So there are pretty parts of Houston. I do a lot of drives through the hills and through the trees, and it's beautiful, but there are some very ugly parts. So if, we don't have any mountains or anything like that to look out at. You can buy on a pond. I live on a pond and I like it. I don't have back neighbors, so that's definitely a possibility, but I wouldn't say it's like the most gorgeous place. There are parts of Texas. Austin is gorgeous and the hill country can be very, very beautiful, but there are other parts that just not as aesthetically pleasing. The good part, I think people move here when I talk to my clients, mostly for the people and the economy. So the people are so friendly, so welcoming, so open to new friendships, new people. Most people go to church. It's not, do you go to church? It's where do you go to church? There's, especially at Montgomery and Magnolia, that area, there's churches on every corner. So a lot of people like that environment. So if that's something that interests you, then it may be the place for you. I hope this video is helpful. I will say, let's talk about the market real quick, because I always try to update you a little bit at the end of my videos. So we didn't have a great 24. I had a really good year, but as a whole, we didn't have a great 2024. The builders, there's so many good deals still happening right now. But all of my builders have told me come January, which is a few days away, that these prices are going to increase 10 grand, 20 grand. All the base prices are going up because everybody is expecting 25 to be a great year. They're expecting those rates to drop down. I've heard some in the 4s. Don't know if that's true. And they are talking about the market really picking up. But this year was not a great year. Right now, the market's been really flat because we had the holidays. Most people are not looking to move. Hopefully come January, all that picks up and things take off. I would love to help you relocate here to the city of Houston. I would love to hear from you. You can call me, text me, email. On Instagram, I'm Houston Realtor Natasha. On Facebook, just Natasha Tessier. We will set up a Zoom and figure out how we can help you move to the great state. If you're looking at different cities, I have agents in every city. I would love to get them in contact with you. So reach out anytime, and I hope you have a blessed day.